Hey everyone, welcome back to another deep dive. Today we are talking about something I know all of you have wondered about at some point. Just how high cats can jump.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive to see them in action.
For this deep dive, we have two really cool articles, one from Cat Nurtured and one from Catster, and they both explore the science and some really fascinating facts about cats and jumping.
I'm excited to dive in.
Me too. So, we see them jumping up on shelves and countertops all the time like it's nothing, but have you ever really thought about like the mechanics of it? How do they actually do that?
It's pretty mind-blowing when you stop to think about it. It's not just about, strong legs. It's a whole combination of factors working together.
Right. And get this, the average house cat can jump like 5 or 6 times its height.
That's insane. That is wild.
Okay, so before we get into the really nitty-gritty details of how they jump so high, I have a question for you.
Mhm.
Why is jumping even so important to cats? Like, my cat spends most of her day napping. She's not exactly, roughing it out in the wild.
That's a good point. But even though our house cats have it pretty easy these days, their instincts and their bodies are still built for a life that was a lot more, a lot more wild.
Oh, I see.
They needed to jump to survive, both as predators and prey.
Okay, so picture a wild cat stalking its prey, like a mouse or a bird.
Exactly. That powerful jump is what lets them catch their dinner.
But then on the flip side, what if that cat suddenly becomes the prey? Like, what if a bigger animal, like, I don't know, a fox or something, is trying to catch it?
Then that same jumping ability becomes their escape route. A quick jump up a tree could mean the difference between life and death.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense. So even though my cat, Mittens, is lounging on the couch right now, she still has those instincts deep down.
Absolutely. Those instincts are hardwired into them.
That is so cool. Okay, so now I want to talk about the actual physical stuff. How are their bodies actually built for this? I
Yeah.
mean, have you ever really looked at a cat's legs? They're like tiny little springs.
Right. It's like their whole body is designed for jumping.
Yeah, it really is. So break it down for us. What are the key features that make cats such incredible jumpers?
Well, you mentioned those powerful hind legs, and those are definitely key. They generate most of the force for the jump.
It's amazing how much power they pack into those little legs.
And then you have their spine. It's incredibly flexible, which allows them to rotate their body in midair and, make those really impressive adjustments to land perfectly.
Right. Like when they jump up onto something narrow, they always seem to twist and turn their bodies so they land just right. It's like they defy gravity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we can't forget about the tail.
Oh, yeah, the tail. I always thought it was just for communication.
It definitely is used for communication, but it also plays a crucial role in balance. It acts like a counterweight, helping them to stay stable during those
He's
jumps.
like a built-in stabilizer.
Pretty much.
That's incredible. Okay, so we know they can jump 5 to 6 times their height on average, but is that like a hard and fast rule? Are all cats created equal in the jumping department?
Well, not exactly. There are a lot of factors that can influence how high a cat can jump, like their age, breed, even their personality.
Okay, so let's break that down. What about age?
hmm
Are kittens like little jumping machines from the get-go?
Well, they definitely have the instinct, but they're still developing those muscles and coordination. So, you see those adorable little kitten jumps where they sort of like stumble and land a bit awkwardly. That's all part of the learning process.
Oh, that's so cute. It's like watching a tiny Olympian in training.
Aha, exactly.
What about senior cats? I imagine as they get older, their jumping ability might decline a bit.
Yeah, just like with humans, they can experience muscle loss or joint problems that can affect their mobility. So it's important to keep that in mind and maybe provide them with some extra support, like ramps or lower perches.
That's a good point. Okay, so we've talked about age. Now let's talk about breed. Do some breeds have a natural advantage when it comes to jumping?
There are definitely some breeds that are known for their athleticism and jumping ability. For example, Siamese cats are often described as being incredibly agile and able to jump to impressive heights.
Yeah, they do seem to have a reputation for being a little mischievous and getting into everything.
That's probably because they can get into everything.
Haha, that's true. But what about breeds with different body types, like Munchkin cats with their short little legs? Surely they can't jump as high.
You're right, body type definitely plays a role. A Munchkin cat might not be clearing 6-foot fences, but they can still jump. It just might not be to the same heights as, say, a Siamese or a Maine Coon with those long, powerful legs.
So it's like a combination of genetics, body type, and also, you said, personality.
Yeah. Some cats are just naturally more adventurous and prone to jumping, while others might be more laid back and content to stay closer to the ground.
Okay, so we've established that cats are basically tiny jumping machines capable of feats that would make most humans jealous. But now I'm curious, are there any record-breaking jumps out there? Has anyone ever measured the highest a cat has ever jumped?
Well, there isn't an official record for the highest vertical jump, but there's tons of anecdotal evidence out there, like videos online of cats effortlessly clearing obstacles that are way taller than you'd expect.
Okay, so no official record for height, but what about distance? What about the longest jump a cat has ever made?
Actually, we do have a record holder for that. A cat named Waffle the Warrior Cat currently holds the Guinness World Record for the longest cat jump with an incredible leap of 7 feet.
Wait, 7 feet? That's longer than my couch. I am officially impressed.
It's pretty amazing. I mean, think about that in human terms. That would be like someone jumping, I don't know, like 20 feet?
That is mind-blowing. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, but I want to shift gears a bit and talk about safety. All of this incredible jumping ability makes me think about, how we can keep our feline friends safe, especially if they're indoor cats.
That's a really important point.
Yeah. I mean, they're jumping all over the place. What if they knock something over or jump onto something that's not stable?
Right. The Cat Nurtured article had some really good advice about creating a safe and stimulating environment for cats that caters to their natural instincts.
Okay, I like that. Safe and stimulating. So what does that look like in practice?
Well, think vertical space. Cats love to climb and perch up high, so providing them with cat trees, shelves, and other sturdy climbing structures gives them a safe outlet for those jumping instincts.
So it's like giving them designated jumping zones where they can go wild without risking a toppled lamp or a broken vase.
Exactly. And speaking of toppled lamps, it's also a good idea to secure furniture to the wall, especially if you have cats who like to scale bookshelves or perch on high surfaces.
Yeah, my cat is notorious for finding the highest, most precarious spot in any room.
And it's not just about protecting your belongings, it's about their safety too.
Right. Okay, so lots of good tips for indoor cats. But I have to ask, what about outdoor cats? We've established that they can easily clear a 6-foot fence, so how do we keep those adventurous felines contained?
That's a concern a lot of cat owners have, and for good reason. A standard fence might not be enough to deter a determined cat.
So do we need to build Fort Knox for our feline escape artists?
Haha, well, it doesn't have to be that extreme, but there are some strategies you can use. Cat Nurtured recommends a two-pronged approach: height and cat proofing.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Break it down for us.
So first, consider going beyond that standard 6-foot fence height. The taller the fence, the harder it is for them to clear it.
Okay, that makes sense. But cats are clever. They're great climbers. How do you actually cat-proof a fence?
There are a few ways you can make your fence less appealing to climb. One is to add angled barriers at the top, kind of like an inward-facing extension. This makes it difficult for them to get a good grip.
Oh, clever. So
Yeah.
it's like making the top of the fence slope inward.
Exactly. You can also try installing special netting that's designed to deter climbing.
Oh, interesting. So basically create a physical barrier that discourages those Houdini-like escapes.
Exactly. But it's important to remember that every cat is different. Some might be perfectly content to stay in their yard, while others are determined to explore no matter what.
True. So it's all about knowing your cat's personality and taking the necessary precautions.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
even then, you might still get outsmarted sometimes.
That's part of the fun, right? They always keep us on our toes.
For sure.
Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground here today. We've explored the evolutionary reasons behind cats' incredible jumping abilities, the amazing biomechanics that make it all possible, and even the practical side of keeping our feline friends safe, both indoors and out.
It's amazing how much there is to learn about something as seemingly simple as a cat jump. Welcome back, everyone. So are you ready to, really geek out on the science of cat jumps?
Oh yeah, I'm totally ready to get nerdy about it.
Because there is so much more to it than just, powerful legs.
Okay, so what else is going on?
Well, one of the biggest things is balance. Cats have this incredible sense of balance, way better than ours.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they always seem to land on their feet no matter what.
It's like they have a superpower.
Right.
And a lot of that comes down to their inner ear. It's much more developed than ours, which gives them like this amazing sense of spatial awareness.
So it's not just about strength. It's about knowing where their body is in space at all times.
Exactly. They're constantly processing information about, how fast they're moving, which direction they're going, and how to adjust their body to land safely.
Wow, so it's like a built-in gyroscope or something.
Pretty much.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Okay, what about their vision? Does that play a role in their jumping?
Oh, absolutely. Cats have incredible vision, both during the day and at night. They can track movement with like laser focus, which is super important for judging distances and landing accurately.
Yeah, that makes sense. If you're aiming for a narrow ledge, you need to be pretty sure you're going to hit your mark.
Right. And their vision helps them do that.
So it's like their vision, their balance, all these senses are working together to create this perfect jumping machine.
It really is a symphony of senses, all orchestrated by their amazing brains.
Speaking of brains, does their intelligence play a role in their jumping too? Like, can they actually learn to jump better over time?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Remember how we were talking about kittens and those, like, kind of clumsy jumps they
Yeah,
do?
those are adorable.
Well, those aren't just random. They're actually learning and experimenting with each jump.
Oh, wow. So they're constantly refining their technique.
Exactly. They're figuring out how much force they need, how to adjust their body in midair, all that stuff.
So it's like they have their own little training montage going on.
Haha, yeah. But even with all that, they're not perfect. I mean, every cat has misjudged a jump at some point.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like sometimes my cat will totally overshoot the couch and end up like halfway across the room.
It happens to the best of them. Sometimes they get distracted or they miscalculate the distance or, maybe the surface they're jumping onto is slippery.
Right. So it's not just about their skills, it's also about the environment and all those unpredictable factors.
Exactly. Which is why it's so important to create a safe environment for them, especially if they're indoor cats.
Okay, yeah, I can definitely see that. So we've talked a lot about like jumping up onto things, but what about those jumps across things? Like when they leap from the couch to the coffee table or across a whole room.
Ah, yeah, those are impressive too. And those types of jumps actually require a slightly different set of skills.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, when they're jumping up onto something, it's all about power and that initial burst of energy. But when they're jumping across a distance, it's more about precision and control. They need to be able to accurately judge the distance and then control their body in midair to make sure they land safely.
So it's like the difference between like a sprinter and a long jumper.
Exactly. And just like with human athletes, some cats are naturally better at certain types of jumps than others.
Oh, that's interesting. So some cats might be like high jump champions, while others are the long jump masters.
Exactly. And this is where, providing a variety of environments for them to play and jump in is really important.
Yeah, that makes sense. So like a tall cat tree for vertical jumps and maybe some shelves or perches
Right.
for those horizontal leaps.
Exactly. Create a little cat playground, so to speak.
Love it. Okay, so now let's talk about those outdoor cats again. We talked about building higher fences and cat-proofing them, but are there any other options for keeping them contained?
Yeah, actually, there's a really cool idea that Cat Nurtured mentioned called a catio. Yeah, it's basically like a screened-in porch or a custom-built enclosure that allows your cat to enjoy the outdoors without actually being, out in the open.
Oh, so it's got compromise.
Yeah,
They get fresh air and sunshine, but they're still safe and contained?
exactly.
I love that. And it'd be perfect for cats who are like really curious and adventurous, but maybe live in a busy area where it's not safe for them to roam free.
Yeah, definitely. And even if you don't have the space for a full-on catio, you can still create a cat-proofed area in your yard.
Okay, so how do you do that?
Well, you can use fencing materials that are harder for them to climb, like smooth metal or vinyl. And you can also, reinforce your existing fence with those angled barriers we talked about, or even plant some thorny bushes along the perimeter.
So basically make it as unappealing as possible for them to try to escape.
Exactly. But, let's be real. There's no such thing as a 100% foolproof solution when it comes to cats.
Right, they're smart, they're determined, and they will find a way if they really want to.
It's all about reducing the risk as much as possible.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here today. We've talked about the science of jumping, the importance of safety, and even some creative solutions for keeping those adventurous outdoor cats contained.
It's been quite the deep dive.
It really has. And I feel like I have a whole new appreciation for those amazing jumps that my cat does every day.
It's incredible, right? And it just goes to show how much we still have to learn about these fascinating creatures.
Okay, so as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, what's the one thing you want our listeners to remember?
I think the biggest takeaway is that there's so much more to a cat's jump than meets the eye. It's not just a random act of athleticism, it's a complex and fascinating process that involves their whole body and mind.
Love all things cats? Make sure to subscribe to Cat Nurtured on YouTube for our latest podcasts, care tips, tools, and reviews. Have thoughts or ideas to share? Comment below and visit catnurtured.com for even more engaging cat content. Join our community and dive deeper into the world of cats.
All right, welcome back to the deep dive for the final part of our epic journey into the world of cat jumps. I feel like we've learned so much already.
Me too. But, believe it or not, we've only scratched the surface.
Seriously, there's more.
Oh, yeah. Today, I want to talk about the role of a cat's senses in their jumping. It's like the secret ingredient that makes those jumps so impressive.
Okay, now I'm really curious. We already talked about their amazing balance and sharp vision, but how do those actually come into play when a cat is jumping?
So imagine this. Before a cat even jumps, they're using their senses to gather information about their surroundings.
Oh, so it's like they're doing a pre-jump assessment, kind of like scoping out the landing zone?
Exactly. They're using their vision to judge the distance and the height of their target. Their inner ear is giving them information about their balance and body position.
Right, right.
And then you have their whiskers, those super sensitive hairs on their face.
Oh, yeah, the whiskers. What do those do?
They're like little radar detectors, sensing changes in air currents and helping them navigate tight spaces.
Wow, so it's like a full-body sensory experience.
Pretty much. And all of that happens before they even take that first leap.
That's incredible. Okay, so they've gathered all this information. They've made the decision to jump. What happens next?
As they launch themselves into the air, their inner ear system really kicks into high gear.
Wow, at that.
It's constantly detecting even the slightest changes in their body position, which allows them to make those amazing mid-air adjustments, twisting and turning to land perfectly.
Right, like they always seem to know exactly where they are in the air and how to position their body to land on their feet.
Exactly. And their tail plays a big role in that too.
Oh yeah, the tail. So it's not just for balance?
Well, balance is a big part of it, but it also acts as a sensory organ.
Really?
Yeah, it's constantly sending feedback to their brain about their movement and helping them stay stable. It's like having an extra set of eyes in the back of their head.
Okay, now I'm starting to understand why cats are such incredible jumpers. But even with all those amazing senses, do they ever, mess up? I mean, we've all seen a cat misjudge a jump or, land a little awkwardly.
Oh, of course. They're not perfect. Sometimes they get distracted or they miscalculate the distance or maybe they're jumping onto a slippery surface.
Oh, right. That makes sense.
So even though they have all these incredible abilities, there are still things that can throw them off.
Yeah, I guess that's true for all of us, right?
Yeah.
No one is perfect all the time.
Exactly. But it just highlights how important it is to create a safe environment for them, especially indoors.
Yeah, that's a really good point. We've talked a lot about making sure furniture is stable, securing things that could fall over, being aware of hazards like open windows.
Right. It's all about being proactive and thinking about those potential risks before they become a problem.
Okay, so we've explored the science, the safety, the incredible senses that cats use to jump. It's been an amazing deep dive.
It really has. And I think it's made us all appreciate just how special those jumps are.
Yeah, they're not just random acts of athleticism. They're like a testament to millions of years of evolution.
Exactly. Those jumps are a window into their wild past, a connection to their ancestors who relied on those skills to survive.
That's so cool. Okay, so as we wrap up this episode, what's the one thing you want our listeners to walk away with?
I think the biggest takeaway is that there's so much more to a cat's jump than meets the eye.
Right.
It's not just about power or agility. It's a complex and beautiful symphony of senses, instincts, and physical abilities all working together in perfect harmony.
I love that. A symphony of senses.
And it's something that we as cat lovers should really take the time to appreciate.
Well said. And with that, I think it's time to say goodbye to our amazing listeners.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you learned something new and maybe even gained a newfound appreciation for those incredible feline leaps.
And remember, if you have any amazing cat jump stories or photos, be sure to share them with us on social media. We'd love to see them.
Until next time, happy jumping.